Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Now and Next, live at 5, Goodman Theater's new online series featuring conversations with Goodman artists. I'm Willa Taylor. I'm the Walter Director of Education and Engagement at the Goodman, and it is my great good fortune tonight to be able to be in conversation with two incredible artists. Jocelyn Bioh is the playwright of the incandescent Schoolgirls or the African Mean Girls play, which you can stream on demand now through the end of May. And Lili-Anne Brown is the Chicago-born director who brought that production of Schoolgirls vividly to life. And if you haven't had a chance to see this phenomenal show, check out the Goodman website where you'll be able to find out how to stream it at home. And please feel free during our conversation to submit questions to us in the Facebook comments section, and we'll get to them at the end of our discussion. Lili-Anne, Jocelyn, it's really good to see you both again.
Hey, it's great to see you.
It's kind of crazy time, right?
Insane.
Yeah. So where is everybody? Jocelyn, where are you?
I'm back home. I'm back home in New York City.
Okay.
In uptown Manhattan, nestled in my apartment, which I've never spent this much time in before. So I guess it's good. I'm really earning my rent here. And but I'm back home in New York.
Yeah. And Lili-Anne, where are you?
I am in the South Loop, basically a stone's throw from Goodman Theater. That is where I live.
Yeah, it's a weird time to think about where we are, how we can do this, but through the magic of technology, we all get to be together. So, Jocelyn, I want to start with you. Can you talk a little bit of why you decided to write Schoolgirls?
I mean, a myriad of reasons. I feel like, I went to boarding school myself, and the boarding school that I went to was predominantly people of color. So I had the very unique experience of going to boarding school, which not a lot of people do so often anymore, and also going to a boarding school with a bunch of people who looked like me. And it was a scholarship-based school, so none of us were like, any sort of like prep kid or came from like, we were all on the same, even, playing field. So I always knew I wanted to.
In Ghana?
I went to school in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Really?
There's a boarding school. There's a boarding school in Hershey, Pennsylvania that was created by Milton Hershey, who invented the Hershey chocolate company. And he donated his entire trust fund to a free boarding school for children who had academic promise, but didn't necessarily have the financial means to go to a really great program. And so I happened to be a beneficiary of said school. And so I always knew I wanted to write about that experience because it was just so unique and interesting. I always knew I wanted to write about my experiences as a dark-skinned woman and like kind of my journey to really owning my beauty. But I didn't quite know how to do that without it also feeling like some sort of like sad, tale. But I'm a comedic writer, so I knew I'd find a way to do that. And so I kind of like infused my mother's influences. Both my parents are from Ghana. My mother went to the boarding school that the play is set in. And then my own experiences, my own journey, a story about the Miss Ghana pageant, scandal in 2011. And I mashed all of that up into a play. And many, 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 many drafts later, you all can view the product of all of that. So yeah, it was a myriad of things, but I'm really proud of what it ended up being.
And Lili-Anne, did you know Jocelyn or know Jocelyn's work? Like, how did you come to the play?
Not at all. I had heard there was a play called Schoolgirls or the African Mean Girls play, in the same way that anybody who keeps up with theater, hears that, there's a thing that's hot in New York. But unfortunately, like, we don't always have access to those plays when they break in New York. So I hadn't read it. I hadn't seen anything. And at this point now, I'm very glad because I always end up being I don't want to see other versions of things before I work on them. So if I can stay far away, I try to. So that feels fortunate that it's not something I happened to catch on a trip to New York, even though I'd heard all these great things. So yeah, so when I read it, I read it when it was presented to me by the Goodman as like, hey, we are really interested in this play. We'd love for you to direct it. Can you read it and tell us what you think? And I mean, it was like, so I was like, me, yes, that is like perfect. It's a dream. Like I felt really happy. I felt seen just that someone would ask me to direct the play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about when you read a play as a director from your lens, what is it that first captures you? Is it the quality of the writing? Is it a particular character? What was it that drew you to this?
To this play in particular, well, for any play, what I usually say is, what people ask, like, how do you pick the plays that you direct? How do you know? And for me, when I read a play, if I see the whole thing almost like a movie, if it like just like plays on the inside of my dome, like when I'm really in sync with a play, that's just the experience that happens when I'm reading it. It's like I see the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then I just know, like, oh, I should direct this because I already see it. I see how it's going to look. I hear it. It's just speaking to me. And this play did that so effectively. I felt like a friend of mine wrote it. Turns out it's like it was a future friend of mine. We had not met yet, but it felt like I know her. How do I know her? But this must be a friend of mine, because it was just, I just connected with it like so hard.
So did you have a chance to talk or to meet before first rehearsal?
Yeah, like we did, and LiliAnne came highly recommended. There were so many of like my own mutual friends. I have a lot of respect for the Chicago theater community at large. Like I've always wanted to work in Chicago, and as an actress, I didn't even dream about being able to get my plays produced. I felt like so far-fetched. But I have a lot of really good friends, and they all, y'all either are very popular amongst each other. I don't know how, everybody just knows each other. But even folks who hadn't worked with Lily, I just knew of her, whatever, they were, oh yeah, no. Definitely, the play would be in such great hands. So we had a really lovely conversation. And I was like very real. I was like, my boyfriend's family's from Chicago. This is going to be the production they see. It can't be lame. Like, you know what I mean? And we were like totally on the same thing. That's probably insane of me to even say to somebody, but it was true. It's like, I have such respect for the community there that like I wanted to make sure that they were going to have the most amazing production. It also was at that point going to be the largest production of the play in terms of like the audience size. So it really meant a lot to me that like the intimacy would still be kept, and but that the comedy would still be broad and vibrant, and everything. I mean, from when we got on the phone, it really did feel like two girlfriends talking, and then we had to like talk about business, but it was kind of nice. And then I was thankfully able to make myself available to come to Chicago for the first week, and I'm just so, especially now considering everything that has gone down, I'm so grateful that I had that experience. Just watching the play felt that much more personal, because they weren't just actresses. It wasn't just a set. Like I knew viscerally, like, everything that had gone into it. So it was really, it's been a really great relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say that there was something really magical for me to walk into that room for first rehearsal and see this rainbow of these Black female faces confronting me, and know that you were going to tell this story that for me, I see a lot of theater and I see a lot of media, but I rarely get to see Black girls in their fullness in the way that this play portrayed them. And one of the things I think is so important about that you've both mentioned is the comedy and the humor in that. So LiliAnne, when you direct, was it Talk about how you pull that comedy out. I mean, clearly part of that is in the writing, but how do you heighten those moments so we really get that communal laugh in the audience?
Well, it's a funny play. And I mean, that's another thing that delighted me when it was given to me to read was I was like, wait. It's a comedy? It's an 80-minute clean, little comedy? I could not believe it because I've never seen anything like it in my life. So that's why it was unbelievable. I've read many a script. I had not read anything like that. And my background is musical theater and comedy. I worked at Second City for years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the thing people don't know. Why? Because I didn't go I'm not on Saturday Night Live, so
right.
I didn't pursue a comedy performer track, and so and it's not on my end usually an avenue for Black women. So of course you didn't think that or know that because where is the avenue for Black lady comedy directors? I don't know it. Searching. We're gonna make one though.
I know.
So that's why I was stunned because I was like, this is for me. This is my background. And the thing that I don't get to do, not that I can't do dramas and everything. We all have the same training, so everybody can do everything. But it's what do you prefer to do? What speaks to you? And I've been just dying to do comedy. I'm usually jamming comedy down the throat of something quite tragic because that's also a thing I like to do because I think life is absurd and hilarious things happen in the saddest moments and sad things.
You're gonna have a lot of material from this.
Yeah. But bringing the comedy out a lot was sort of teaching, and not necessarily teaching, but teaching some of the younger actors, and then our elder statesmen. Not that they're elder, but the grown-ups in the play. They have a lot more comedy experience. And so just working with the physical stuff, that was really important because some people working in this ensemble had not ever done physical comedy. And it can be quite uncomfortable. And so we spent a lot of time talking about that in order to tease out, get more bang on that comedy.
Did you write for laughs, Jocelyn?
I don't. Some would say yes, some would say no. I mean, I think there's certain things that I just feel like are inherently funny, but mostly because they're honest and that's a big thing. I've been talking a lot actually about my writing process and writing comedy specifically, and I'm like, I know it's funny because I do, kind of view life through that kind of comedic portal, but mostly because it's rooted in honesty. There's something, if we all really think about the most amazing comedic portrayals, it's because they're something that is so completely honest. They're so universal. If you see, my comic, legends that I look to, from Lucille Ball to Eddie Murphy, what was so great about them is it was rooted in a real, true, honesty of the character. You look at that person, you're like, that's my aunt, or that's my uncle, or that's my whatever. They're able to really hone that and find that. And so that's mostly what I'm thinking about. And usually when I'm developing a play and, going through the rewriting process, which I do a lot of, and I'm really not afraid of it, I can hear when something feels false or when I was trying to kind of jam something in and it doesn't work. And then I just get rid of it. So it's a lot of, I think my writing is a lot about rewriting, but it's also about being very honest. And I think that is what actually unlocks the comedy.
Well, I have to say that's part of what I think was so impactful to me because the issue of colorism in the community and growing up, my grandfather, my maternal grandfather was very, very dark. My maternal grandmother was very light skinned and constantly this coaching of me around sort of who I should date and what they should look like and all of this was always sort of something that was held in my subconscious. But it wasn't until I started to laugh, and in particularly laugh about that like whitening cream and those ads, which I think we'll see a clip of soon. That was when it really hit me. It was the connection of the comedy to that. Oop, that's something that I'm not seeing that on stage before. That's really honest. I think this is a good actually point to sort of look at a clip. Can you set this up a little bit, LiliAnne, and tell us sort of where we are in the play?
Yeah, so we've established in the play at this point, there are core group of girls and how they interact. And there's a queen bee, Paulina, and she's very intent on entering this pageant and winning this pageant. And her friends are trying to support her as best they can because she's being incredibly overbearing. And a new girl comes to the school. All they know is a new girl is coming. She's going to be in their class. And she arrives, and not only is she American, ooh, ah, but she is very, very fair-skinned. And they are dealing with that in this clip.
So when was the last time you were here?
I can't even tell you. So forgive me, it's gonna take me a while to get my accent and get used to the heat.
I'm sorry, Erica, but I have to ask, what did you use to get your hair that long?
Oh, this is just natural.
Wow, you are so lucky.
Thanks, but headmistress scheduled my haircut for next week.
I mean, mine is that long too. When I straighten it,
I wish my hair was easier to manage.
Well, I have tons of products you could try. A bunch of things that I got in America.
Oh, like what? Hair grease?
Oil?
Lotion?
All of that. You girls should come to my dormitory and try them out. We can have a little makeover party or something.
Oh, a makeover party.
A party to get made over.
Count me in.
Yeah, I want to try everything. Because your stuff must be top quality.
Lily, even the Caro Light they have in the States must be top shelf. You don't even have any blemishes.
The what?
You know, the cream.
Bleaching cream.
The ones they sell here will just burn your skin off.
Fire.
And they give really bad blisters too.
Nasty.
Oh, well.
But I would love to try yours. It seems like it works really good.
Quality.
Oh, no, I don't use... I mean, this is just my natural tone.
Wow, you really are blessed.
Our other cousin has lighter skin too.
She's albino.
It's still light.
Anyway, I can't wait for this party. Are you free after class today? Oh, do you have a boom box? The one I have broke down.
That thing never worked, Gifty.
It did. You just had to hold the plug in place and it was fine.
Let it go, Gifty.
I do have one, actually. And I brought some new music with me, too.
Do you know of Bobby Brown?
Are you kidding? I love him! I went to a New Edition concert last year.
You did?
Yeah. I even have a poster that he signed.
Oh my goodness!
And a poster.
And she has it!
I love that scene.
Honestly, that could be the same exact scene right now. Just insert Beyonce, and I would act the exact same way. Like,
Oh my God, right?
I know. Boy, that Bobby Brown thing really took me back. Like, I had completely forgotten that he had been in New Edition until yeah. So talk a little bit about the casting of this, because I thought the cast was just phenomenal. Was this a local cast? Did you do wide casting? Had any of the actors been in the production before?
Entirely local. No one from any previous production. Wow. You know, no tea, no shade to actors anywhere else, but when I was asked, like, okay, do we need to like contact New York? I was like, for what? Like, we have.
I think even I said that. I think even when you and I talked, we were like, I was like, I'm fairly confident you'll be able to cast all of this in Chicago.
Yes, yeah, that was, and especially because that's been shows featuring Black women has been a focus of mine for quite some time. So, and I've had shows that need way more than 8.
Yeah.
So not hard at all.
It was just phenomenal to see how wonderfully they worked together, and how nurturing they were whenever I saw them in the hallways, just how kind they were. They really felt like an ensemble in a way. And some of them were new, right? Had not worked a lot before, correct?
Yeah. Well, they were an ensemble. They are an ensemble. They're still, you know, very close. We all talk. Of course, we have the obligatory active text thread that's going on, but they are, you know, Chicago focuses on ensemble acting and is really well known for it. And so building an ensemble here is something that comes really naturally to us. And that happened starting day one. You know, everybody looked around that table and none of us had ever been at a table like that before in our whole lives, in our whole careers. I've been doing this for 25 years. I had never been at a table like that. Wow. I had never been able to assemble a table like that. It was a hugely heady and profound gift of a moment. And so talk about instant bonding and instant ensemble making, because we all, you know, have the feeling that, wow, this really is bigger than us. Which is something that every artist knows, but talk about a real reminder that moment was that. And so, yeah, they are an ensemble.
It felt that way to you too, that this was a bigger moment, Jocelyn?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think this was, you know, I've had the good fortune that the play has been, you know, done at several theaters around the country at this point, which has been a really amazing thing to see. Like, you know, as somebody who's also an actor, I knew what it was like to really be desperate to get, you know, roles and plays, and it took me so long to even build some semblance of an acting career. And, you know, and I'm in New York City, that's supposed to be, you know, the kind of like heart of like telling diverse stories, you know, and we still got a way to go in terms of theater at large. So to know that, like, you know, I was able to write a play that provided an opportunity to somebody who looked like me in Kentucky, in places in Texas, in, you know, DC area, in Boston, like that was like truly exciting. But those are experiences that I was able to just go see, you know. I would just go see the show on either opening or closing night, and that was kind of it. But I think when I walked into the Goodman, especially, you know, as I said before, how much, you know, Chicago theater meant to me, how much it meant to me to even be working at a theater like the Goodman. It was like where I really truly understood, and that the play was also going to be on the really big stage, you know, like you know, sometimes that shouldn't matter to people, but I think, you know, it does. Proximity to something greater or bigger or whatever is important. And so to know that like this play was going to be on a big main stage with, you know, 800 or so people being able to view it every night, it meant a lot to me. And it was like, I think in that moment that I realized that like the play is now bigger than me. I've now been eclipsed by it, and that is like great and fine. Totally happy with that, and totally happy that I had that realization in that moment. And it was such a powerful moment to be sitting. We were all sitting. It was so interesting. We were all like sitting at this table in the middle of this very large rehearsal room, and it's like all of the Goodman staff were standing around surrounding us, and it was just a table of only Black women. And I was like, what is going on? It was like so crazy. Even, you know, the original production of Schoolgirls, you know, didn't have that moment. You know, but they were still at the table who were not Black. So it was wild. It was wild.
It was really profound. Coming in and seeing the casting board with all the photos of all the actors, and then walking into that room and seeing that cast and seeing all of you was just incredible. And that was one of the reasons why I was so excited that this was a show we were going to be able to present as part of the school matinee series, so that 1,600 young people, but especially young women of color, would come in there and see people who really look like them, not just terms of color, but also in terms of age. Because usually they see adults, or people who are presenting as adults. But to be in a room with these incredible artists doing this incredible work, watching people who look just like them gives the opportunity and the possibility of what you can do in a way. So, we streamed it to all of the schools that were supposed to come, and kids have been thrilled. The teachers were over the moon by it. And I'm thrilled that it's going to be presented when we come back, and we will get to see it in its true form in the theater. There's something magical about live theater that I don't think you can capture in the stream. So it'll be very exciting to have all of that cast back. So what are you both now thinking about for the future? What is the next project? What is the next thing that you are trying to create? What's the next story you're trying to tell?
I'm like, survival,
right? That it's very difficult for artists right now. I was still hanging on by a thread to a job that I had at the Kennedy Center in October, and that just evaporated as of yesterday, actually. And so now, like, my 2020 is that's it. And I'm hoping, I'm hoping for 2021 that the jobs that I have slated now stay there. But we don't know because, as things get shuffled, like things that got shuffled for the spring, then they got shuffled to summer because, we don't know. And then the summer got canceled. So now things are shuffling to the fall and, we don't know. And as things would get pushed, we just don't know. Like, no job is certain right now. If you are a freelance person in the arts, and even if you're not a freelance person in the arts, but particularly if you are a freelance person in the arts, it's one big question mark.
Yeah.
It's incredibly ironic, to me, though, that in this moment, in terms of being like an artist and being a creator, is that we've all been asked to kind of shelter in place and stay in our homes, and like the only thing that is actually carrying a lot of people through is art. They're watching their favorite television show, they're streaming a play, they're reading a book, they're listening to their favorite song. Like, that is what's carrying actually everybody through this. And so to also know that the people who are creating the thing that's carrying everyone through are suffering and not able to have something to carry themselves through, or maybe they're depending on other people's art. Like, I don't know. It's just, it feels like such an odd, weird thing that's happening. So I do hope that, like, it gives people a lot of perspective and understanding of how important the arts are. Like, think of how terrible this shelter in place would be if you couldn't binge a new TV show, or if you couldn't read a new series of books, or if you couldn't listen to the latest Meg Thee Stallion and Beyonce song that dropped. Art actually being created, like, just think of how even much more terrible this moment would be, and hopefully when we come out on the other side of this, that people will have a lot of perspective and respect for what the arts provide, even in moments of a pandemic.
Do you have, like, are you working, like, right now I'm teaching the MFA class at DePaul, and God bless it, we're doing it on Zoom and we're having a great time because I decided I was supposed to direct them in a play, and some people decided to try to keep their Zoom plays, and I was like, well, that's whack to me. So I was like, I want to instead, actually, I'm teaching them all of Ike Holter's Reitland saga because we had
nice.
So I was like, we'll do a play a week and we'll do a complete dramaturgical focus because that's what we can do with this time.
Right.
And they're loving it. And it's honestly, that's getting me through, like, having a class every day, like someplace I have to go and be responsible and teach this class and but talk to them about theater. And it's been amazing. Are you, like, Are you doing anything like that?
Yeah, I'm definitely like everybody and their grandma has like, streamed some version of Schoolgirl somewhere. Lots of folks have been watching the Goodman production, which has been great. So I'm doing a lot of class, zooming into classes and talking to a lot of kids. I'm like professional Zoom person now, which has been really great and nice. So actually, that is my favorite part of this whole, platform I guess I've been given, is being able to talk to like young artists in the making and like let them know that like I'm no different from them. I had like such a crazy journey and struggle. I didn't just kind of like, slip and trip into like, a play that a lot of people wanted to do. I'm also writing. I'm writing a film right now, and I'm just trying to kind of keep myself on a little bit of a schedule. If I'm not, zooming and booming all day, then I try to like, have a certain amount of time in the day where I'm writing, and then and really try to keep my evenings to myself, like make a dinner, watch something, talk to my boyfriend. Like it's nice to be able to like try to make some version of a regimented day, but it's still odd because this is going to go on for who knows how long.
Yeah. And I think that it will be essential that art and artists be a part of whatever we are on the other side of this, to help communities heal, to help us process the trauma that we've been through, to help us come back together in some kind of way. Because even in this time of COVID, we have become even more fractured in some ways than we were before this. Are you finding it different writing a film as opposed to writing something that is going to be on the stage?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because like I'm, all of a sudden, with the medium of film is very different. Film and TV is very different because it's all very visual. You really have to like lay out, what the picture is all going to be. Whereas like when you're writing in theater, it's all very important that the words, really tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I find myself just kind of like imagining that I'm on some sort of tropical beach somewhere, and like, I'm like, this sounds nice, and no, I'd love to pick a mango from a tree, and so it also is very visceral and sad and refreshing and scary all at the same time. But it's a different way of writing, but one I still enjoy. And it's odd now because people are experiencing the play in the same medium that I'm writing right now, so like people are experiencing the play as a film, I guess, and it's like, it's very odd because I never intended for it to be,
right.
I intended it for it to be something you experienced in, in a room. And that's like, we'll all have a big reckoning at the end of this of like what theater is, like how we can continue to make it survive and, all of that. But I'm glad that people are able to, still experience the play. But it does feel very odd that like they're experiencing it as a film, and not in the like kind of visceral in-person way I always envisioned it would be experienced.
For you too?
Yeah. It's bizarre, actually. Yeah, of course, because, as a director, my job is to tell you where to look as an audience, and of course, hopefully they don't perceive that if I've done my job well. It's very subtle, and they're just looking where I want them to look, and I do this through staging and the set and the lights and, the flow of the scene work. And once it's a videographer focusing on what they want to focus on, and then an editor editing it together with no input from me, it is very different in some ways than what I directed, because it's like, oh, that's not okay. Normally you wouldn't be looking at that, actually. Oh, wow, weird. Okay. Oh no, go over there. And like, you just have to, and Bob Falls gave me some great advice, because he was like, so you're never gonna like the recording if you don't direct it yourself. So just like, let it go. He was like, we got this recording. We want people to be able to see it. I was like, I know, I'm so bummed that like students can't see it and stuff. And he's like, we want to put it out there and just just release it. And I mean, he's right, because it's just bringing joy to people. And I'm so happy. So I had to get over myself when I first saw it. And I was like, why are you, don't focus on that. But I mean, that's my director brain.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say it really is bringing joy. And even as accessible as we try to make the school matinee series, even as accessible as we try to make the work that we do on our stages, there are people who just cannot come into the building for a variety of reasons. And they have been able to experience the joy and the beauty of the script. And in some ways, that's been a real blessing for us.
Oh my God. Incredible. I've had international friends say, and that's amazing. Like, that's incredible, because they never would have been able to see the show.
Yeah, that's right. So I think we should open it up for questions from the audience. We've had a lot of people watching us on Facebook and other platforms. And again, I want to encourage you that if you have not seen it, please go to the Goodman website and find out how you can stream Schoolgirls or the African Mean Girls play into your homes, because you don't want to miss it. It's truly, truly wonderful. We have a question here. Wow, this is a great, great question from Adrian McGee. Is there any advice that you would give a young Black girl in Chicago who dreams to become an actress one day? She looks forward to taking acting classes.
I mean, she's already on the right road if she's going to take classes, get training, read a lot of plays. That's a thing that she can do right now without any classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's all about becoming well-versed. You know, I feel like even I didn't have a lot of access to theater. Ironically, growing up in New York City, we just didn't have the means or the funds to be able to go and just check out a Broadway show, you know, on the weekend. So like, I felt like I was just, you know, pouring myself into like all these kind of comedy legends that I could get on TV. And so it was like Golden Girls and I Love Lucy and Mary Tyler Moore and anything on TGIF and you know, Fresh Prince and whatever. And I feel like I've just quietly stolen everything brilliant that I've seen and just try to recreate it. Right. But it really is about being well-versed, and if you can, and it's nothing to be able to pick up a play. And in this, you know, in this particular time, being able to stream a lot of plays.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I would really take advantage of that.
Absolutely. I think
National Theater Live has a whole archive.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, I was just about to say it. National Theater has done, like, you know, we were talking about access. And one of the things that I had really wanted to go to London to see Philetta Lloyd's trilogy of Shakespeare plays with all women cast. And now it's in my living room and I get to yeah. Another question. Do you have any intro to writing tips that you would recommend?
Intro to writing. I don't know about any tips other than like, if you have an idea, I guess try to write it. I mean, I think a lot of times people think that like writing is some really difficult thing. You have to have it all laid out and figured out before you even, you know, put your fingers on the keyboard. And I don't know that that's the case. If you have an idea, even if it's like a joke, if it's, you know, a poem, if it's some sort of narrative, you know, prose piece or something like that, just write it and like keep writing and like see what it turns into. I also really recommend reading a lot. I know we just kind of said that for the acting, but like, I think if you feel like you don't know where to start, I think you can get a lot of inspiration from other people who have, you know, completed projects. So like read something, read a play, read a book, read something that's in the realm of what you're thinking of writing. It sometimes helps unlock ideas and a way in, and then you can find your own, you know, version of that.
And one thing you said earlier that I thought was really important for writing students to hear, and all writers, is that writing is a lot about rewriting.
Completely. Yeah.
You just take something and it doesn't work and you throw it away.
I wish people knew that there, you know, like, I mean, this draft of Schoolgirls is actually my 27th draft of the play. So I wish people knew and understood that like the first draft is just actually half the battle. It's just getting through it. And then you gotta like comb through until you get to the right place. So yeah, writing is rewriting.
And do you ever feel like that's it? That it's perfect, it's done, it's finished?
No.
Would you still be doing rewrites?
No, you just let it go.
Yeah.
You eventually let it go. Yeah.
Yeah. Lili-Anne, what was your favorite rehearsal
Hey,
moment with the
Jacqueline.
two girls?
What was my favorite rehearsal moment? Oh boy. I don't know if there was a favorite moment per se. I mean, honestly, that first moment that we just talked about is gonna stick with me forever. Like our very first table, especially because Jocelyn that was there, which was so special, and you don't get in most experiences unless you're doing a world premiere. So that was very special. But like we just laughed so much. We laughed so much. And when we started doing the staging, there were just moments of really trying to sort of piece through. It's very small work, the physical stuff, the physical comedy. And those are the moments that I remember because I love doing that so much and just watching an actor grow through it, like go from doing one thing to like nailing a certain thing and then like really having fun doing it, like going from being like, what the hell, to like, oh, okay, I've got it, to like, oh, now this is fun. And I think, somebody's going to laugh at this or this cry at this, whatever the moment is. I mean, that's the joy of my life. Honestly, that's why I do what I do. Watching the actors get something, really get it, and really blossom through it is just magical.
Have you always wanted to be a director?
No.
No, really? How did you wind up being so good at being a director?
Directing found me. I was an actor for many years, a professional actor for quite some time. And I've always been someone to have a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. I didn't want to have a job that didn't have anything to do with theater. I didn't want to like go be in an office for my day job. I knew I had to have a day job, but I was just like, well, if I have to have a day job, it might as well also be in this industry. So I've just always done a lot of things. I've been a talent agent. I've been a casting director. I've been all sorts of things. And it's Chicago. We open theater companies here, right? So I was one of those people like, oh, my friends we're going to start a theater company. And I was doing that. And they would always be like, do casting. And eventually I was an associate director. But that's basically like I am bossy and opinionated, So I would be like in a rehearsal as an actor and be like, oh, that's what you're going to do? I probably would do that differently, and then but not sharing that, of course, because that would be unprofessional.
Yeah, that's your indoor voice.
And so I would start, I was like, well, maybe I should put my money where my mouth is. And then once I started to do that, like once I was an associate director, people immediately were like, ooh, you have good ideas. Oh, you're good at coaching actors, but blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, I think I want to do this. And then I found out, oh, this journey is going to be hard, really long, and really hard. But also I discovered that I was called, so that acting was a job and a career for me that I quite loved, but directing is a calling. And once I got the call, there was not a choice.
Yeah. Where would students find access to new plays to read?
Online. There are a lot of, thankfully, a lot of publishers have gotten smart and have started publishing a lot of plays that are new plays that are being produced, or some that haven't been produced yet. So, Dramatists Play Services, New Play Exchange, Samuel French. These are all places that like new playwrights are getting published or have some sort of platform to publish their work, and everybody should take advantage of them. Sometimes the online the e-versions or whatever of the play are like as cheap as $4 or $5. So yes, do that and support playwrights who are getting published and yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget about your library. You know, you can get ebooks and e-scripts from the public library as well if
That's
you have a
true.
library card in Chicago. And if you have a Chicago library card, you can use an app that allows you to get access not only to Chicago libraries but also the New York Public Library System, which has a vast system of scripts and
I
cast
didn't know that.
albums. Yes.
You would know that, Willa. I love that. That's awesome.
It's fabulous. So I mean, it's one of the reasons why I love the Chicago Public Library System. It's really great. And we have one final question from Kimberly Senior. How do you think our stories might be different post-COVID? What do you think you will want to watch?
I think this is where I feel actually really excited because like I think we're gonna want to laugh. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of really tragic stories about this time because what we are experiencing is tragic. It is unlike anything any of us have ever seen. And it's important to acknowledge, those stories in the lives, the countless lives that have been lost to, people who are friends of friends, close friends, family, and all of that is very important. But I do think that, like, at the heart of it, we're also going to want to celebrate them, and those folks that we've lost are going to want us to be able to move on and our hearts to be warmed again. And I think that comedy is going to be that healing balm that does all of that. So. I don't feel it's going to affect my voice in any way. If anything, it makes me feel like I need to double down on the fact that, like, bringing joy and bringing light and still, real, true storytelling about real life experiences, but like bringing joy and light and levity into people's lives does feel like my own calling. And, I'm grateful that I have that gift to be able to share when all of this is a memory.
Yeah, LiliAnne.
I mean, I second that, but it's also it's funny that she's like, yes, people are gonna want to laugh, and I was like, people are gonna need to process their grief.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean not through laughter. That's the funny thing. It's like, but I just think people are going. I also think, boy, are we going to have some new and interesting thoughts about intimacy, what it is and what it isn't, and what it means to come together and how we feel, because I think many of us are more isolated than we've ever been, and we're dealing with that and processing that. And I am so curious to see how artists process that. I'm really curious to see that.
As am I. Well, this has been terrific. It's been a great honor for me. Thank you both so much, LiliAnne, Jocelyn. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody who tuned in this evening. And I also want to thank all of our generous donors and members whose support through the Intermission campaign makes it possible to bring programs like this to you, even during this strange time that we're living in. If you'd like to contribute, please visit goodmantheater.org and don't forget to visit goodmantheater.org to find out how you can stream Schoolgirls or the African Mean Girls play. Woo! Thank you to you all. Thanks again for watching. And on behalf of LiliAnne and Jocelyn and all the staff and artists of the Goodman's Theater, stay safe, stay healthy, stay well, and keep your hands washed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.